My name is Holly, and this is my anxiety chapter. I like to use writing prompts sometimes, even with my anxiety journals, and today's prompt really stuck out at me, and it was a little triggering. Now, caution, I am talking about a family member's suicide in this episode, so it may be triggering for others as well. Today's prompt was: write about a time when you didn't take action, but you wish you had. What would you do differently? So as I'm opening up about my own battle with my mental health, this prompt immediately made me think of my cousin Josh. This is a burden that I have been praying about for a very long time. Now, a little backstory. When I was 11, my mother and I lived on a property with my aunt and uncle and their 2 kids, 2 houses out in the country. And for a while, it was a good life. Unfortunately, family drama beyond the comprehension of us kids started brewing, and we sensed it and felt the shifting attitudes. One day, my mother picked me up from school, and the car was loaded down with my stuff and my cat. She told me that my uncle kicked us off the property and drove me 3 hours to my grandmother's house. Over the next few weeks, she and another uncle would go back and pack up to move things. I saw my aunt, her husband, and my cousins once, about a month later. My grandmother was diagnosed with stage 4 terminal cancer. It wasn't a dramatic visit, but even at 11, I knew there was so much simply not being said. I was told not to say anything, to allow them time with my grandmother. And since I lived there, I could step back and just linger in the background for one weekend while she was able to see them. They didn't return to see her again, nor did they attend her service. I suppose they grieved alone. Now, my grandmother was not always a good woman, and I think even in her death and final words to some of her children, she created more division. Part of me looks back in sadness that instead of coming together in our mourning, there was only more separation that to this day has not been healed. Part of me is also grateful that I didn't have to stand across a burial plot, grieving the loss of my grandmother, and also being reminded of a home and life I was suddenly ripped away from. As an adult, I still carried the grief of losing part of my family. As a mother, I hated that I didn't have extended family around to share with my son, as that's how I grew up. I missed my cousins. We were once like siblings. Now, I had online connections with other cousins, but I still felt the burden to reconnect with the 2. And on a whim, I started searching, and I found my cousin Josh on MySpace. We reconnected so easily. I think it was because we simply left whatever happened between our mothers as something unspoken. And through him, I was put back in contact with my aunt and my cousin Jenny. Now, Jenny and I are only a few months apart in age. We were closer as kids because of that. And now as adults, we found that we both had a toddler on the autism spectrum. Despite Josh being a few years younger, as an adult, I felt a stronger connection with him. And I thought I was forming a good relationship with my aunt as well. And again, some things were just not talked about, and maybe they should have been. Unfortunately, I was going through some of my own battles at the time, frustrated and hurting, dealing with the inconsistency of my son's father. I was overwhelmed as a single mom, juggling my child's special education and therapies all alone. And I allowed myself to fall out of regular contact with people. I saw pain and darkness in Josh, the things he said in private messages and his social media posts. Now, they didn't come right out and point to what was coming, but I recognized someone drowning. And I chose myself. I made the choice that I had to put myself and my son first. I thought I would have enough time to get my own depression under control and to be able to be strong enough to sit and talk through his pain. I am often so angry with myself for not even realizing there was a 6-month gap in which I hadn't heard from him. And I'm still so hurt by my own family. Other cousins who got to know Josh as an adult because I made the bridge between them. Many years ago, a few days before Halloween, Josh woke up feeling so lost and broken. He was completely hopeless and saw no end to his pain. He picked up the phone, he told his mother goodbye, and then after hanging up, he took a gun and ended his own life. I found out the following April. Nobody thought to tell me. They talked about it amongst themselves. Now, mind you, we were all spread out. Proximity and in-person conversations were not a factor. They were not a thing. Everything was over the phone and online. While others had some time to start to reconcile and heal a little bit, I was thrust into a spiral of grief accompanied by feeling forgotten and disregarded by my family. Family that I had even been in contact with over these months, in which his death was never brought up. Now, even though it isn't even completely logical, I blamed myself. I thought if I had only said something to his sister or mother, maybe if I had made him talk things out with me, if I hadn't curled up under my own rainstorm, I could have been shelter for him in a tornado. And even though I wasn't walking very well with the Lord, this was also an intense shakeup for my faith. I was so distraught thinking about my cousin going to hell because of his depression. I started looking up commentary from various pastors on the subject of suicide, and I tried to find peace. It has taken me several years to come to accept I cannot know his fate. It was determined in a split second between my cousin and God. Speaking up to him or telling someone else may not have changed the outcome. As I've prayed this out and matured both as an adult and a believer, I realized it was not only on me. Others would have seen the signs I did, and others may have tried to help him. But in the end, my cousin may have still lost to the depression. But I wouldn't be living my life always wondering, what if? And that's why my encouragement to you is if you see somebody struggling, always speak up. I would rather risk losing a friendship or losing time with someone mad at me for sticking my nose in their business than losing them altogether to the battle of depression.